Good morning, it's October 4th, 2024. We're critiquing the news. The item on your screen is from the Cairns Post and it's titled Apology to Mrs Jetski. I noticed this one fairly early in the day because I checked whether any of my letters to the editor had been published, and indeed one had been. It was the subject of a video yesterday, but I quickly read this apology to Mrs Jetski because it was quite intriguing, and I'm sure, being an apology, that News Corp won't mind me reading it out here in its entirety. A column by Tim Blair, published in the Cairns Post on May 30th, 2023, has resulted in a complaint to the Queensland Human Rights Commission by Cairns LGBTIQ+ community member Alison Jetski. The column referred incorrectly to American transgender woman Dylan Mulvaney as, quote, a gay man who wears dresses. The Cairns Post reiterates its commitment to anti-discrimination policies and therefore apologises to Mrs Jetski and any members of the LGBTIQ+ community and transgender people who took offence. Hard to see there what was incorrect about Tim Blair's reference, because common knowledge that Dylan Mulvaney was born a man. And you can be 100% certain that our bureaucracy has descended into an Orwellian clown world when a left-leaning media organisation is forced to issue an apology to some random far-left Australian activist because one of its more balanced columnists stated an objective biological truth about an American who suffers a narrowly shared delusion that a person born with XY chromosomes can, by a completely mythical process of wishing it to be true, magically transform into a person carrying XX chromosomes. On Truth, George Orwell said, quote, the further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. That's why the Queensland Human Rights Commission forced News Corp to apologise to someone who was somehow offended by hearing the truth. By the way, in 2020, Queensland's Human Rights Commission went into hibernation while the Queensland government and various corporations ran roughshod over the Queensland Human Rights Act for their COVID psyop. George Orwell also said, in a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act, which is why Tim Blair is somewhat of an outlier and outsider at News Corp. It takes both courage and knowledge to be a revolutionary, and far too few journalists are blessed with those attributes today, which is the outcome of deliberate employment screening processes after the last 2 decades, and of course the dumbing down that journalists get in their compulsory university course. On power, George Orwell said, and I quote, power is in tearing human minds to pieces and putting them together again in new shapes of your own choosing. End quote. In forcing whole populations to accept lies as truth, no matter the extent that it conflicts with observed reality, the foreigners who have directed and coordinated the capture of our governments and bureaucracies can force people into believing nothing. As Hannah Arendt said, quote, if everybody always lies to you, the consequence is not that you believe the lies, but rather that nobody believes anything any longer. And a people that can no longer believe anything cannot make up its mind. It is deprived not only of its capacity to act, but also of its capacity to think and to judge. And with such people, you can then do what you please. Now ask yourself why the world's wealthiest people would want a world population that they can manipulate, control, and direct as they please.